welcome back to another episode. Today we are talking about cholesterol and hormones and how they are interconnected, because nobody, as far as I'm aware, talks about this. With the whole rise of everyone stressed out about their cholesterol levels and really focusing on how to keep their cholesterol levels down. And I've had so many women come to me and saying, oh, my LDL is so high. My doctor says I have high cholesterol. So I figured I would talk about this because this is something that a lot of women are really, really worried about. And even men are worried about this as well. And I feel like not a lot of people understand what triglycerides are and how they function in the body. So we're not going to go into super detail. I feel like I say this for every episode. We're not going to dig deep into the anatomical functional aspect of these particular functions in the body. So if you want more information, what am I trying to say? I more than recommend doing your research. More than welcome. That's what I was trying to say. You're more than welcome to do your research. I will be talking about this more on Instagram over the next couple of days. So you guys, if you have any questions, hopefully that'll answer it for you. But always ask questions if you have them. I really feel like that's important, that you shouldn't be left with so many questions just sitting around floating in your head. I feel like you should really definitely understand what's going on in your body. And again, we point back to functional blood chemistry analysis and how it can help people who are worried about their cholesterol levels. So I will just preface this by saying we're not going to be talking about cholesterol and why your LDL might be high. If that's an issue that you are worried about, that is definitely something that you would have to book a consultation and we would talk about it, because there are various reasons why your LDL could be high. It could be that you have an underlying issue that is causing the LDL to be high. It could be that your LDL was just high at the time of testing, or it could just be that your doctor is saying it's high when it's on the higher end, but it's still within optimal range. And your doctor's just scaring you. It could be a bunch of different things. I've had a woman who tested high LDL, but what it was actually was an underlying thyroid issue. So it could be a bunch of different problems, or just one particular problem that could be causing high LDL. So we're not going to be talking about that today, but if that's something that you're concerned about, I highly recommend either booking a consultation or an assessment to see what's going on. All right, so into the topic for today. Cholesterol is both produced by the liver and comes from the food that we eat. It is vitally important for overall health and bodily functions. We have to have cholesterol in our bodies. We cannot be looking at it as an evil thing. We can't look at LDL and HDL individually. We have to look at them together, unless you're looking specifically into blood work. But they go together, they coexist. They have to be optimal together. If one is higher than the other, or lower than the other, or lower than optimal or higher than optimal, that's when we start to separate them and see what's going on. Cholesterol should not be looked at as the bad guy. I feel like a lot of people look at cholesterol as being this evil part of your body, but it really isn't. It is essential for cell growth and producing hormones such as estrogen, DHEA, progesterone, cortisol, and testosterone. But it also produces bile acid, which helps in the digestion of fats. If we did not have optimal bile acid, we would not be able to break down fats. And when we're not able to break down fats, it leads to a sluggish system. So it's really important having cholesterol in our bodies. It's really important that we do that, that we have that optimal amounts, and that we're eating food with cholesterol in it. Again, we are always looking at these food items with cholesterol, and we're looking at the cholesterol levels in foods when we should just be eating whole, organic, natural foods and not worrying so much about it, because consuming cholesterol is not an evil here. It's not an evil. Chronic inflammation leads to the release of cholesterol to help address the damage. Cholesterol is really important, like I said, for cell growth. So having any kind of damage in your body, which is what chronic inflammation is. Chronic inflammation is always because of some sort of injury or degradation within the body. And so whenever there's a dysfunction, whenever there's a degradation of something, it could be a muscle tissue, it could be an organ, it could be bone, connective tissue, whatever it is, your body's going to create an inflammatory response to assess the damage and fix it, to repair it. So cholesterol is then released to help with the damage. Again, this is why cholesterol is so important. However, if someone is dealing with chronic inflammation on a long-term basis, that cholesterol is constantly being released, and that's when we lead to high cholesterol. And so this kind of points to why LDL would be high, is if you have a chronic inflammatory response, autoimmune issue, you're going to have higher cholesterol levels than normal. High inflammation leads to high cholesterol. So that's all you need to know. If you know that you have chronic inflammation and you have high cholesterol, you've already just pinpointed two problems there. So cholesterol is also a precursor to vitamin D. You guys all know how important vitamin D is. We have to have vitamin D in order to survive. We have to get our vitamin D from the sun as well. Again, we've talked about this in a previous podcast episode. If you want details on how vitamin D is so important, you can go check that out. Low cholesterol can actually alter your sex hormone balance and vitamin D levels. So if someone shows up in a blood chemistry with very low cholesterol levels, the likelihood that their vitamin D levels are super low is also very high. And the likelihood that their sex hormone balance is completely irregular and off, that's also going to be higher as well, the high risk for that. Cholesterol levels can fluctuate with your cycle due to the correspondence with estrogen. And again, I posted this on Instagram, and I believe I saved it in my hormones highlight. So if you want to go check that out, you can. I kind of gave you like a little roller coaster action there that shows you how the cholesterol levels fluctuate during your menstrual cycle along with estrogen. So now we get into triglycerides. Again, triglycerides are looked at as an evil. They really shouldn't be. They are a type of fat, that our most common type of fat in the blood. They are essential to your function. You have to have them. They are also found in butter and oils. A lot of people will notice that their triglycerides will show up high in a blood chemistry. Again, you've got to get to the root cause of why your tris are high. But that doesn't mean avoid butter and oils. Honestly, one of the best things that you can eat is butter. So I will never tell you to take butter and oils out of your diet, as long as they are olive oil, coconut oil, and sesame oil. Sunflower oil is not my favorite. Canola oil should be avoided at all costs. Palm oil should be avoided till the ends of the earth. That thing should be avoided. But as long as they are organic, raw, extra virgin, whatever you can find, the most pure form of those oils as possible. Excess calories can be stored as triglycerides in fat cells and then used when your body needs energy. So it releases tris when you need more energy. It's kind of like glycogen. Your body stores glycogen in your cells in order to produce energy when your body needs it. So typically when someone's on more of a keto diet, when they are focusing on high fat content, their body will store that fat as triglycerides, and it will release that instead of glycogen for their energy stores. This isn't always a healthy thing. You guys know how I feel about keto diets. You know how I feel about high fat diets. So I don't recommend it. But in dire circumstances, if your body is low in glycogen and it needs energy, it will take the tris and it will use them. High levels of triglycerides may contribute to the hardening of the arteries and thickening of artery walls. This is why people get so worried when they find that they have high tris. I wouldn't stress too much about it unless you've gone through a full panel to identify what's going on. If you have high triglycerides but everything else is within optimal range, then you've got to think about what's the underlying cause and reason why my tris are high. It could be that you're eating way too much of a processed oil and it's causing your tris to be way too high. So again, this is something that you would go through during a consultation or an assessment to figure out what's going on. So breaking down LDL and HDL just really, really briefly, I mean, we're not going into detail here, but LDL can collect in the walls of the blood vessels, which raises the chance for heart attack and stroke. Again, this is why it's villainized, but it is the more prominent form of cholesterol than HDL. That is because it is essential to your living, and if it's too high, it will cause these problems, but it has to be in your body. HDL takes LDL away from the arteries to the liver where it is flushed out of the body. So this is, again, the balance. You have to have the balance between the HDL and the LDL. If your HDL is too high and your LDL is too high, if your HDL is too low and your LDL is too high, you know for a fact that your HDL is not clearing that LDL out of your system. So you have to have optimal ranges of both. Eating a low-fat diet can cause EFA deficiency, which are essential fatty acids. EFAs cannot be synthesized by the body and are essential for musculoskeletal health, endocrine health, cardiovascular health, and immune function. The makeup of the membrane of every cell and allows for proper absorption of certain fat-soluble vitamins. So you have to have essential fatty acids in order for your LDL and HDL levels to be optimal. You have to have them. If you are not eating enough fats in your diet, that's why you got to have the oil, you got to have the butter. Your body is going to show completely off cholesterol levels. Your cholesterol levels are going to be totally not optimal. They're going to be either way too low or way too high, depending on what you're eating. I personally do not eat enough essential fatty acids. I'm working on it. One of the best things that you can do that I've been doing recently as far as getting those EFAs in really simply is adding MCT oil to your smoothies. It's completely tasteless. I've been training for an obstacle course the past 2.5 weeks. I'm in my third week now of my 7-week program. And I have not been eating enough fats in order to replace the lost stores in my body. So last night yesterday, I noticed I was getting extremely sore. My muscles weren't healing as quickly as they normally do. I was just feeling really low energy and I just wasn't feeling myself. And I put some MCT oil into a smoothie, and today I feel great. My joints feel better, everything feels good. So you really got to make sure that you have those EFAs in your diet, especially if you're training hard. If you're doing really heavy exercise, it's really important to have those essential fatty acids for the health of your muscles and the health of your skeleton and the health of your immune function. It's going to be really essential, along with all the proteins and the vegetables that you're going to eat. So anyway, again, we didn't go into too much detail, but I hope that what we did discuss today gives you a better idea of why you should really appreciate your cholesterol, really appreciate triglycerides, and really understand why they're in your body and how certain things can throw them off. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. If you feel like you need some blood chemistry focus, please feel free to reach out to me. Usually, I actually just added to my website specifically blood chemistry analysis, which basically what it is you pay $30, you send in your blood test results, and all of them, if they're recent, past ones, that way I can compare and contrast. I usually would like to have a year ago and then 6 months and then a couple weeks, if you could do that. I mean, if that's possible. If you don't have any more recent than 6 months, that's okay too. Just to give a good look at what your body has been doing the past year, giving me a whole list of all the symptoms that you feel, and then we'll go through your blood chemistry analysis. Or if you want something more in depth, what you can do is book an assessment along with blood chemistry, which is $80, and that'll give you all of the symptoms. We'll go through all of your symptoms, all of the medications you're taking, everything, completely, everything in your whole entire life. And then we'll compare and contrast to what is going on with your blood work, and then we'll just go from there. So anyway, if you have any questions about these programs, these assessments, anything, feel free to reach out about that as well. So thank you guys for joining me. Until next time, we're going to be starting to talk about prenatal health and postpartum health, which I'm very excited about. This is really something that I hold very close to my heart. I love working with prenatal clients. I love doing it. I love it. It just makes me so happy. So we're going to be talking about that next week, starting to work into that, and that is going to be a full-on series. So we're going to be working through first, second, third, and fourth trimester, just talking about everything that can go on during these trimesters and how you can help with nausea, with back pain, all the good stuff that happens when you are pregnant. So hopefully this will help you. Hopefully it'll help you if you are pregnant already or if you are planning on becoming pregnant in the future. So until then, thank you for listening. It has been a wonderful podcast episode talking with you guys. And until next time, have a beautiful life.